The war ended 7 years ago. But for some of us, the war never really ends. My name is Damien Cole, former Sergeant, United Earth Colonial Marine Corps. Now I'm a salvager, scraping out a living on the fringe worlds, far from the core systems where people have forgotten the cost of the Synthari conflict. I don't talk about my past. I don't talk about what I did during the war. I don't talk about her. But she found me anyway. I was working a salvage claim on the outer rim of Cygnus 5, a backwater planet with a breathable atmosphere and absolutely nothing of value except the wreckage of old battles. The Synthari had pushed through this sector during the final offensive, and the surface was littered with downed ships, abandoned equipment, and the ghosts of soldiers on both sides. It was dangerous work, but it paid. And it kept me far away from people. The storm hit without warning. One moment the sky was clear, the twin suns burning overhead. The next, the horizon turned black with dust and debris, and the wind was screaming across the plains like a wounded animal. I had maybe 3 minutes to find shelter before the storm stripped the flesh from my bones. I ran for the nearest wreck, a Synthari transport ship half buried in the rust-colored sand. The hull was torn open, wide enough for me to squeeze through. I threw myself inside just as the storm hit, the force of it shaking the entire wreck, sand pouring through every gap. The interior was dark, lit only by the thin red light filtering through the dust outside. I activated my helmet lamp and looked around. The ship was old, at least a decade, its systems long dead. But as I moved deeper inside, I realized something. The air was different in here. Warmer. Almost lived in. That's when I heard it. A sound so soft I almost missed it. Breathing. I spun around, my hand going to the pulse pistol on my hip. The beam of my lamp cut through the darkness, and I saw her. She was Synthari. Small. Much smaller than most of her kind, her frame thin and fragile beneath a tattered cloak. Her skin was the pale lavender typical of her species, but it was streaked with dirt and dried blood. Her large, dark eyes, the kind that had haunted human nightmares during the war, were fixed on me with an expression I couldn't read. Fear? Recognition? Both. She was pressed against the far wall, as if trying to disappear into the metal. She was shaking, and she was staring at me like I was a ghost. I should have shot her. That was my first thought, the old training kicking in. Synthari were the enemy. They had killed my friends, my brothers, my entire squad on Kessel-3. They were the reason I drank myself to sleep every night, the reason I couldn't look at myself in the mirror, the reason I had exiled myself to this worthless rock at the edge of the galaxy. But I didn't shoot. Something stopped me. Something in the way she looked at me. Not with hatred, not with fear, but with something else. Something that looked almost like hope. "Please," she whispered. Her voice was barely audible over the screaming wind outside. "Please don't." Her accent was thick, but her words were in standard English. That was unusual. Most Synthari never bothered to learn human languages. They considered us beneath them. "How do you speak my language?" I demanded, my voice harsher than I intended. She flinched. "I learned. Long ago. From a human. A good human." I took a step closer. She pressed herself harder against the wall. "Who? Which human?" She looked at me then, really looked at me. Her large eyes traveled across my face, my hands, my posture. And then she did something that made my blood run cold. She inhaled. Deeply. Slowly. As if she was breathing me in. "You," she whispered. "It's you." I froze. "What are you talking about?" She took a tentative step forward, away from the wall. Her shaking hands reached out, then stopped, as if she was afraid to touch me. "I know your scent. I have carried it in my memory for 7 years. I thought I would never find you. I thought you were dead. But you're here. You're really here." My mind raced. 7 years ago. That was when the war ended. That was when I had done things I wasn't proud of. That was when... And then it hit me. A memory so buried, so deeply suppressed, that I had convinced myself it never happened. But standing here, in the darkness of this wrecked ship, with this strange Synthari woman looking at me like I was her salvation. It all came flooding back. The middle. The Battle of Kessel-3. The worst day of my life. My squad had been ambushed in the ruins of a Synthari outpost. We were pinned down, outnumbered, outgunned. One by one, my friends died around me. Thompson. Reyes.
Kira.
I watched them fall, and there was nothing I could do. When the firing finally stopped, I was the only one left. I was wounded, bleeding out, trapped beneath the body of my best friend. I lay there for hours, waiting to die, waiting for the Synthari to come finish me off. They came, but they weren't soldiers. It was a group of Synthari civilians, refugees fleeing the fighting. Women, children, the elderly. They were terrified, moving through the ruins as quietly as they could, trying to escape the war that had consumed their world. And among them was a child, a little girl, no more than 5 or 6 years old, with pale lavender skin and enormous dark eyes.
She saw me. I don't know how.
I was hidden beneath rubble and bodies.
But she saw me.
She stopped, staring at the place where I lay, and she tilted her head. And then, before anyone could stop her, she ran to me. Her people called out to her in their language, urgent whispers filled with fear. But she ignored them. She knelt beside me, her small hands reaching out to touch my face. Her fingers were warm. "You're hurt," she said, in standard English. Flawless, childlike English. I couldn't speak. I could barely breathe. But I looked at her, this enemy child, and I saw no hatred in her eyes. Only concern. Only kindness. Her people were screaming at her now, begging her to come back. And in the distance, I heard the sound of more soldiers approaching. Human soldiers. My side. They would kill anyone they found, civilian or not. That was the nature of war. I found my voice. "Go," I croaked.
"Hide.
"They'll kill you." She shook her head. "I won't leave you. You have to." I reached up with my last strength and gripped her small shoulder.
"Please. Go."
Live. She looked at me for a long moment, and then she leaned forward and pressed her forehead to mine. A Synthari gesture.
One I didn't understand then.
But I understand it now. "I will remember you," she whispered. "I will find you someday." And then she was gone, disappearing into the ruins with her people. Moments later, the human soldiers arrived. They found me, pulled me from the rubble, saved my life. I never told them about the little Synthari girl. I never told anyone. I thought I had imagined her. A fever dream, a hallucination brought on by blood loss and trauma. But as the years passed, I couldn't shake the feeling that she was real. That somewhere out there, a child I had saved was alive. And now, standing in this wrecked ship with the storm raging outside, I knew she was real. Because she was standing right in front of me. Kira, I breathed. The name I had never spoken aloud. The name I had given her in my dreams. She smiled. It was a small, fragile thing, but it transformed her face. "You remember. I thought I dreamed you." No dream. She took another step closer, close enough that I could see the tears welling in her enormous eyes. "You told me to go. You told me to live."
So I did.
I lived. I grew. I learned. I searched for you for 7 years. I came to this planet because I heard Salvagers worked here. I thought if I could find one human, one good human, maybe it would be you. The weight of her words pressed down on me. She had spent 7 years searching for me. 7 years, traveling across the galaxy, surviving on her own, all because a dying soldier had told her to live.
Why?
I asked, my voice cracking. Why would you do that? I'm nobody. I'm just a broken old soldier hiding from his past. She reached up and placed her small hand on my chest, right over my heart. Because you were the first person, human or Synthari, who ever told me my life mattered. In the middle of a war, with death all around you, you chose to save me. An enemy child. A stranger. You chose kindness when kindness could have cost you everything. That is not nobody. That is everything. The storm raged outside, but inside that wrecked ship, there was only silence. And in that silence, I felt something I hadn't felt in years.
Hope.
I don't know how long we stood there. Minutes, maybe hours. We talked. She told me about her life after the war, how she had been taken in by a group of Synthari refugees who settled on a neutral world, how she had learned more languages, how she had never stopped thinking about the human who saved her. I told her about my life, the drinking, the isolation, the guilt that never faded. She listened without judgment. When I finished, she took my hand. You saved me once, she said. Now let me save you.
The end.
When the storm finally passed, we emerged from the wreck together. The twin suns of Cygnus, 5 were setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. The desert stretched before us, empty and vast. And for the first time in 7 years, it didn't feel lonely. Kira walked beside me, her small hand still holding mine. She had nowhere to go, she said. No family, no home. She had spent so long searching that she had nothing left. I looked at her, this strange, wonderful creature who had crossed the galaxy to find me. And I made a decision. Come with me, I said. She looked up at me, her enormous eyes searching my face. Where? I have a ship. It's not much, but it's mine. I travel from world to world, salvaging, surviving. It's not a life, not really, but it's something. And I think I'd like to share it with someone. She smiled. That small, fragile, beautiful smile. I would like that, she said. We walked toward my ship, 2 survivors from opposite sides of a war, bound together by a moment of kindness 7 years ago. The desert stretched before us, but for the first time, I wasn't walking away from my past. I was walking toward my future. Kira squeezed my hand. Do you think it's possible? She asked. To start over? To leave the war behind. I thought about it. I thought about all the death, all the guilt, all the years of running. And then I looked at her, this girl who had become a woman while searching for me, and I knew the answer. I don't know, I said honestly, but I think it's possible to try. She nodded, satisfied with that. And together, we walked into the fading light, 2 broken people holding each other up, finally home.